You both smell so good. I think the only thing that would make you smell better is if I mixed you together. Shall we try it? So good morning. I want to first of all thank Caleb for the idea of this video. We're going to look today at doing something a little bit different. We're going to basically mix or layer fragrances together. It's quite a common thing, it's quite a popular thing people do, sometimes to make sort of fragrances last longer, or just to create a unique scent that's maybe a little bit different. Maybe they have a scent that they just feel needs a bit more oomph to it, and they mix some notes together to create their own signature scent. But I've got a question for you. Does that always mean it actually works? Let's be honest, I wouldn't put chocolate on my steak, and I like chocolate and I like steak. I wouldn't put Marmite on a banana, for example. So there's certain things where you may like something, but actually when you put it with something else you like, it just doesn't go together at all. And that's really what I wanted to see today, is can I make my own signature scent with a couple of phrases I'm mixing together? Yeah, I've got 5 different mixes today. I'm just going to quickly go through them as well, and there'll be a note breakdown them before I sort of, talk about them during a run or walk or whatever. So we're going to do a retro versus modern. So Brut against Ferragamo Uomo. So this is sort of that fresh sort of one, and this is this sweet caramel, very much a modern scent. So yeah, very contrasting. They're going to be quite weird combinations today. We're going to do sweet and smoky. So you would have just seen from my sort of intro, Joop and Aramis. Wow. That's 2 real old school phrases everyone knows, but Joop's very sweet, and yeah, it's quite cloying, to be honest, a bit of a cherry smell, and Aramis is very smoky, like a James Bond figure. We're then going to do summer versus winter. So for summer, we're going to go Acqua de Parma, Fico di Amalfi, and then we're also going to go, I'm going to have to move my phone for this one, double espresso, which is from Fragrance World, so a heavy coffee fragrance against a nice fig fruity fragrance. Yeah, that'll be interesting, that one. The reason I'm having to move my phone, by the way, is because I was resting my phone on double espresso, which I do a lot. I rest all my phone sort of camera shots on fragrances. Old versus young. So we're going to do Lapidus, which is a very old school pineapple honey scent, against CK1 shop. They're going to be mixed together. This was basically a cherry tobacco fragrance, and yeah, it's got like a sort of energy drink accord to it as well, so very much youthful, very, very youthful, actually, still very modern today. And yeah, that's going to be the ones I'm looking at today. So yeah, quite a lot. Sorry, I've missed one. I have missed one. Cheap versus expensive. Rasasi, Daarej, Nasomatto, Baraonda. This is about sort of £10-15 for 100ml. If you had 100ml, this is only 30ml, but if you had 100ml of this would cost you about 200 odd pounds. So yeah, this is a boozy scent. This is very much a sort of cinnamon, cardamom heavy, or I think it's oriental spicy they call it. So yeah, some very interesting combinations there. Not sure how this is going to work at all. When I've sprayed a lot of fragrances together before, it's just kind of given off an antibacterial hand wash sort of smell. A little bit worried that might be the same here, but yeah, let's give it a try. I'm going to take 2 on my run today, so we're going to mix. Let's do retro versus modern and sweet versus smoky. So Brut and Ferragamo, Uomo, Joop and Aramis. And get sort of layering fragrance molecules. ISO E Super, I think one of them's called, an ambroxan, which you can essentially, they apparently help project the fragrance more. But anyway, we're going to do it the proper way. We're just going to spray fragrances that we've actually got. So there's Brut, very, very soapy, as you would have seen from the note breakdown. And this is very much a caramel scent. Just done an extra one there. I'm just going to let that sit before I smell it. Then we're going to do Aramis and Joop. I'm going to put Aramis on the bottom because it's got the heavier notes. And then Joop. Wow, okay. Well, again, it's really alcoholic when you do this. Oh, my nose is stinging from that. Oh, right, I'm going to let that sit for a little bit longer, and then just before I go for my run, I'll let you know. Give it sort of 5-10 minutes. To be honest, Ferragamo Uomo is stronger than Brut, and that's really what it feels like at the moment. It is slightly lighter, I would say. It's almost made the Ferragamo Uomo less sweet, less caramelised. And maybe that's a good thing. It's certainly added a bit of freshness to it, which is certainly more suitable for the summer weather at the moment. Right, just rubbing that sort of petroleum jelly in with it. So this was Aramis and Joop. Yeah, I am getting that. I mean, again, the fragrance I've sprayed second is definitely stronger, so the Joop fragrance is stronger there. But when you really dig your nose in, it's got quite a smoky background there, and actually, I quite like it. I have to say, I do quite like that. Let's see how it performs when I start sweating a little bit on my run anyway. And yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give them a sort of score out of 10 really today, just based on sort of performance and overall scent. So yeah, that's what we'll do. And looking forward to trying this. This is quite a good experiment. Again, thank you, Kayla, for this idea. Really like it. Hard work again this morning. I've pulled my intercostal muscles, or whatever they are, between my ribs. So yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable, so I didn't take my phone just in case I whinged the whole time. Anyway, how do they smell? How do these fragrances smell? So I'm going to do the Ferragamo Uomo and the Brut one first. I think it's definitely mixed with my sweat a bit. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is 95% just Ferragamo Uomo, and there's maybe just this very, very tinge of sort of extra freshness, soapiness to it now, which is kind of, yeah, makes it a little bit more suitable for this sort of summer weather. So I wouldn't say the layerings really work, to be honest. If you're sort of smelling it like that with a bit of distance, you can kind of just smell Ferragamo Uomo. You've almost got to literally smack your nose into your arm to try and get that bit of freshness from Brut. But it is pleasant. It does add a little bit more lightness and just takes that caramel edge off. So not bad. I'm going to give that 5 out of 10 just for how it's mixed and how it smells. I wouldn't buy Brut, let's say, to kind of layer, just from what I can see there. It's not strong enough. It doesn't cut through those stronger fragrances, those sort of modern sweet fragrances. So yeah, for that reason, I'm going to say it's about a 5 out of 10. And that's how that layerings work. Right, now let's try the sweet and smoky, the two retros, Joop and Aramis. I'm looking forward to smelling my arm the whole run for this one. So yeah, this has worked really well, considering I didn't think these two would go at all. I thought the sweetness and smokiness would just, like a fruity smoke. No, but it's worked really well. Where I sprayed Joop sort of second, I sprayed Aramis on mine first. Joop's definitely still that little bit more dominant, sitting on top. It's still quite a strong, sweet fragrance, so it's not one that just falls off a cliff in terms of performance anyway. But you're getting this smokiness in the background from the Aramis, which I really like. This almost feels like the sort of fragrance that's the best of both worlds. If this came out in 1990, the people who maybe hated Joop but loved Aramis may have found this one a little bit more palatable. And exactly the same, the people that didn't like the other fragrance might have thought, oh, actually, I really like Aramis, but that Joop's helped, or, vice versa. So it's worked out quite well. It's like a smoky cherry, but it's not overpowering. Would it work today? Absolutely not. I wouldn't recommend doing this for anyone who's younger and thinking, oh, this is now a modern scent. These are both old school fragrances. But for anyone that maybe knows both of those fragrances and, finds Joop a bit sweet or Aramis a bit smoky, maybe this really is the best of both worlds. So, yeah, I'm quite impressed with that. And I think that's quite pleasant. It's got rid of that sort of air freshening sort of smell, or that smell that you've been smoking cigars or whatever. But I don't think Aramis is like that anyway. I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10 for the overall layering, the performance, and how it's just mixed with the skin chemistry. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Better do the next two now before we head to the gym. Time we're going cheap versus expensive. So we're going to do Nasomatto Baraonda. My favourite scent is for whiskey. Such a realistic boozy whiskey. A lovely sweetness. Wow, that is absolutely delicious. And that's going with the very cheap Rasasi Daarej. So cheap versus expensive. This is a sweet oriental. I believe cardamon's the main note in this. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for a bit. Those two have mixed a bit better. They're not as alcoholic in the opening. And then we're going to do a sort of real winter fragrance, a coffee fragrance, double espresso. It's a very much citrus or summer heavy fragrance, which is Fico di Amalfi, a fig fragrance. So what we'll do the heavier one first again. So spray here. Wow, that's such a realistic coffee as well. I mean, the two sort of drinks here, coffee and whiskey, is so realistic. Okay, right. So I'm going to let that sit for a bit. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start talking about them when I head down to the gym walking, because I just want to let them sit for a bit and, just make sure they mix well. And then what I'll do, once I've done my workout, I'm going to sort of come home and spray the other two phrases after I've had my shower. So that will be CK1 Shock and Lapidus. But let's head to the gym and give my thoughts on them. I won't wear my t-shirt like this, I promise. And so let's start with the cheap and expensive. So Rasasi, Daarej and Nasomatto, Baraonda. Okay, this has worked really well. Now, this one actually feels like it's genuinely mixed together rather than just two separate fragrances. So what it's done is you're still getting that whiskey note at the bottom of the Baraonda. It's really, really nice for me. I love it. But for some people, they're going to find that a little bit boozy. The cardamom and the sort of vanilla, the cinnamon in Rasasi Daarej has definitely cut through. And what it's done is I think it's made it more suitable for maybe someone who's a little bit younger, who wants something a little bit more playful. I'd say this is actually now become more of a sort of date night fragrance, if that makes sense. I'd wear that one Baraonda anyway for a sort of date night thing if I had to, but I think it's just made it a bit more pleasant for someone who's a bit younger. It's a little bit more playful now and a little bit fresher in a weird way. I think when you get sort of resinous woods, it does bring a sweetness, but it's still quite grown up in that sweetness, whereas this has now become definitely more youthful, definitely more playful. I really like that, and it's not sort of strong alcoholic smell. It doesn't feel like either of them are really overpowering the other one, so that's worked well. I think that would get compliments. I'd quite happily actually mix them together now. I'm very surprised. I'm going to give that an 8.5, That is, in terms of how it's mixed, a 10. I still think it would be... It's quite a contrast in terms of, do I think someone would want to wear it? Because you definitely get that Middle Eastern vibe and that boozy vibe, which I still don't think is maybe the sort of mass-pleasing sense like a Ferragamo Uomo caramel base. But yeah, I think that's worked really well. I'm quite surprised with that. But yeah, so that shows then cardamom and whiskey does mix well together, whether it's a Middle Eastern cheap fragrance or a really expensive boozy one. Right, let's try the other two. We labelled this one sort of summer and winter. So what we've got is Fico di Amalfi by Acqua Parma and double espresso, which is like this really black coffee by Fragrance World. So does fig and coffee go well together? Do you know, I love that. That is really nice. Now, I absolutely love both of these fragrances. These are two of my staples now, to be honest with you. I love Acquas in the summer, and this coffee one is such a realistic coffee. And the reason I never recommend the sort of double espresso one is because it's so realistic. It literally just smells like you've drowsed yourself in coffee, which might just be too much for some people. It doesn't maybe bring that complexity. What this has done is it's freshened it up. Yeah, and you get that fruitiness first of all when you smell your art, and then obviously the coffee takes over. But it's like a fruity coffee, which doesn't sound like it'd be something you'd want to drink, that's for sure. But to wear it, it's just giving it that slight lightness where you could wear it on like a windy day like today, where it's not quite as hot as normal. What I would say is made that fragrance go from a winter one, the double espresso, to a full fragrance as well. So it's basically made it more suitable for an extra season of the year, and that could be a fragrance in itself. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give this, because it's mixed really well. Again, neither of them are overpowering each other. It's what you'd expect. The top note, first thing you smell is the fruitiness and the sort of lighter note, and then you get the coffee and the base. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. I think that would get compliments. I really do. And that could be a signature scent. I'm going to wear that tomorrow. No joke, I'm going to wear that tomorrow. That's really surprised me. The ones I didn't expect to do, or expected to really clash in a bad way, have performed well so far. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. What I'll do my workout, see if anything changes while I'm sweat everything out and have a shower, and then I'll do the last two when I get home. It's a gym workout done. And you know, funny enough, I can smell all four of those sort of mixes I've done so far. But the one that's strongest is the one I gave 5 out of 10 for. The Ferragamo Uomo, again, it's only that I can smell. I can't smell the Brut. It smells really strong. And it's funny because I've always moaned about the performance of that one. So maybe Brut has just brought a bit of extra longevity in it. I can't imagine that is the case, but maybe so. As I was saying, some people do sort of layering to improve longevity. I just didn't expect it to be with this fragrance. So yeah, if anyone could give me some of their layering sort of fragrances they've done before, I'd be really interested to know if anyone first of all does, and yeah, which ones you do layer, and whether it's worth trying, because I'd love to do this again. I'm definitely going to mix some more of these. Obviously we've still got one more to do today, Lapidus and CK1 Shot. That's going to be some combination. Let's get home, have some lunch, and then we'll do that one. We are back home. It's just gone 1 o'clock, so let's do these last two. So it's Ted Lapidus Pour On, which came out in the 1980s. This is like, so I did a pineapple fragrance review yesterday of Zara fragrances, Bogos Vibrant Leather. This is an old school pineapple. This is so dated. Nobody young's going to wear it. Against a very youthful scent, CK1 Shot, which I wore when I was at school and university. So yeah, let's give this a spray. We'll do it there. So I'm going to put the heavier scent on first. Very veiny arm, haven't I? I love it, but I can see why people wouldn't like this one. This is very daring, very different. It's one of the strongest fragrances I've got. And then CK1 Shock, which is tobacco amber. Right, we're going to let that sit for a little bit, and then I'll let you know how they layer together. This one's going to be interesting. Then, so about 20 minutes has gone by. Time to smell my arm. Do you know what? The tobacco from CK1 Shot has definitely lasted on there. I'm glad I sprayed it second and laid it on top of Lapidus. It's basically brightened up CK1 Shock, and actually I think the sweetness from CK1 Shock has actually made this a lot more wearable. As I was saying a minute ago, this is very, very hard to pull off if you're a young person. Very hard to pull off. Certainly wouldn't recommend it for anyone that doesn't want daring fragrances. Anyone who really wants to appreciate retro, though, get this, because this is great. But that is, I don't know if pineapple and tobacco is a mix that's happened really before, but that is what I'm getting. And actually, I like it. It's youth, and it's essentially made this a lot more youthful and a lot more wearable. That being said, I don't think that then means you should buy this so you can get this. I definitely wouldn't recommend it. But suddenly I'd feel more confident wearing Lapidus in public, let's say, than I did before. So that shows that CK1 Shot definitely does have some benefits. So what would I grade these? It's mixed well. It's mixed really well, actually. I think in about half an hour, that's going to be super strong though. I think it's going to overtake this and you're going to lose that tobacco, because this doesn't last really long, probably about 2 hours. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. And I really think that's not bad at all. Yeah, that is certainly pleasant. That would be a lot more wearable to most people. But yeah, this is going to take over at some point. This is a sillage monster, by the way. So yeah, I would say certainly don't buy each other's to layer these. But yeah, if you wanted to make a retro or an older person's fragrance more youthful, you can definitely do that with CK1 Shot on Lapidus. So yeah, very happy with that. Right, it's time to give my final thoughts. So layering fragrances, do I think after doing 5 different tests today, do I think it's something I'll do a little bit more? Maybe, yes, certainly with this one, which I've given 10 out of 10 for. This has performed really well. This is going to be my signature scent for tomorrow. I'm going to wear both of these in combination because I absolutely loved that today. Acqua de Parma, Fico di Amalfi, and Double Espresso. And they did work really well. I have to say, I do recognise that maybe longevity can sort of be improved with sort of mixing and layering fragrances. I also put a bit of petroleum jelly on today, which, again, hopefully is basically Vaseline. It locks in moisture, and it did work quite well. And that's a lot cheaper than buying like the eccentric molecules, which are like £70 for Ambroxan or ISOE Super. So yeah, I think it's one of those things. I'm definitely going to experiment with it more. That being said, I still love fragrances for just what they are. Even your more simplistic fragrances that are retro, like a Brut, or some of those more modern scents like a CK One Shot or Ferragamo Uomo. I still just like them on their own. I like to appreciate a fragrance as what it is. And to be honest with you, I've tried so many, and I've never really found longevity in it. I'd always look for something that's really strong anyway. And, that's what I try and do these videos for, to try and recommend some of those fragrances if you do like those stronger beast mode scents. And also if you like those that are just a little bit more pleasant and easy to wear. But yeah, I definitely think it's something that it's worth trying. If you've got some fragrances at home, just mix your favourite notes together. You'll get more of an appreciation of notes, that's for sure. I think leather and vanilla is something I've done before with Tobacco Vanille and Gucci Guilty Absolute. So yeah, I really recommend it if you want to try it. But for me, I also don't think there's anything wrong with just appreciating sometimes fragrances for what they are in isolation, but we'll definitely do some more of that. In terms of other fragrance videos coming up, I'm going to actually turn the tables. I'm going to ask you some fragrance questions soon, because I want to know what you sometimes think about certain things as well, rather than just me telling you. I want you to tell me and help me kind of learn more about fragrances, because that's what I'd love to do as well. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed this one today. I certainly enjoyed doing that and learned quite a lot from that. So thank you very much, Kay. Thank you to everyone who does recommend and leave me very nice comments as well. I do appreciate it. And hopefully I'll catch you more soon for some more fragrance videos.